welcome back to BitCast, y'all, to episode 11. I have said that intro so many times, it's like, wow. Episode 11, it's your weekly podcast about all things Nintendo and Apple, supposedly all things tech and gaming, but mostly Nintendo and Apple, with the occasional talk about the other things like that, which I don't normally talk about that a lot. Yeah we have quite a bit to talk about today. Nice crisp, I like to say crisp a lot when I talk about the day, but Friday, nice crisp Friday. This week's been quite interesting. I'm a bit mad at ESR right now because I have an ESR case on my phone, and it's one of those with the little camera guard stand, and I really liked it, but a few days ago it just decided to not be firm anymore, so now I can't use it because it does not stay. As soon as the smallest amount of force is on it, my phone just collapses, which is really annoying. It might be because I threw my phone across a table once and there was like a seam that I did not realize, and since it sticks out a lot, I catched it and it did some damage to the case. But I don't know if that contributed to it. Anyways, because I had started getting ESR because I really liked ESR. I don't really think it's the case's fault. ESR sponsor me. Just kidding. I mean, if you really want to, sure. But Anyways, let's start today's episode off with the episode theme. Alright, so on the news table today, Apple is running out of A18 Pro chips for the MacBook Neo. The release date for the Rhythm Haven or Heaven, I'm not sure which one it is, Groove game has been announced. There are new My Mario drops, including a new app. There is a new Nintendo Switch 2 game bundle, and the main topic of the day, my spoiler review of the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and we are also going to go over some of the box office earnings and stuff about the movie. So, yeah. Alright, so starting with Apple is in trouble because apparently the MacBook Neo is selling a bit too well, as according to some chip maker predictions. I'm so sorry, there is a bug, and it is literally purposely trying to distract me, and I don't want to try to kill it because it would make a really loud noise, but I literally paused the recording. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this bug. I couldn't find it, and once I unpaused it, it's back, and it is making me really upset, y'all. I am really upset about this. Anyways, so apparently the MacBook Neo is selling so well. It's been a smash hit, according to 995 Mac, that Apple is facing a bit of a supply chain predicament. Its stock of A18 Pro chips, the previous gen's iPhone processor powers the Neo, is reportedly running low, according to the respected analyst Tim Colpin. That was quoted from the 9 to 5 Mac article we are looking at if you're watching the video version. So the quote unquote, the MacBook Neo uses the A18 Pros that were essentially discarded during their intended production run for the iPhone 16 Pro. Chips that have slightly defective GPU were put aside and reused in the Neo. This is why the Neo chips only have 5 working GPU cores, when the iPhone 16 Pro A18 Pro chip boasted 6. So essentially, the MacBook Neo chip was binned. Apple does this a lot, and basically they deactivate one of the GPU cores or something, and a lot of the reasons why they do that is to use up leftover stock of defective chips, because chip making is a very precise and complex process, aka why we can't let Elon Musk do it. If you know, you know. But it's so complex that there is quite a bit of mess ups. And instead of throwing that away, what Apple and other companies will do is they'll just disable the defective core and only have it like that. And that is what the MacBook Neo is using. But the problem is that quote unquote by Apple, quote unquote by Coltman, or 9to5Mac says, Coltman says that Apple initially planned to make about 6 million MacBook Neos in total, using up the bin A18 Pro supplies. With demand now looking to exceed that amount, Apple's facing a bit of a what? A quandary? I've never seen that word before. Discussions about solutions are apparently taking place with supply chain partners right now. One option is to pay TSMC a premium to ramp up A18 Pro fabrication again. Although it's unclear how much that would cost on a per unit basis, Apple may have to bump the price up of the Neo to make this math work, preserving its preferred healthy profit margins. This could mean removing the base $599 configuration, so leaving only the $699 model, quote unquote. A alternative route may be accelerate production of the second generation MacBook Neo, originally planned for mid-2027, which will use the A18 Pro chips, the leftovers from the 17 Pro. That is easier said. The problem is that it's easier said than done. Coltman also suggests Apple may have to simply let MacBook Neo availability, dwindle and bide its time until next year. Obviously, that's the least desirable option. Executives don't want to leave present demand unaccounted for. So, basically, what this all means is that Apple is running out of these chip leftovers. And you might be like, well, why not just make more? And the problem is, from what I know, the 3nm TSMC production line is all sold out right now. And from some sources like this is saying it just may cost more. But the problem is that it's going to cost a lot of money to restart production of a chip that they no longer produce. Because that's the thing. You may think they're producing this chip, but no, Apple and TSMC are no longer producing this chip. They are just using leftover chips. And the MacBook Neo is a smash hit because it's literally one of the best value computers ever. And this is not good. And my thoughts on these two options that in this 9to5Mac article, first of all, I think if it really comes to the point, I think the best option would to be get rid of the base $599 model and just do the $699 model. I mean, it would be really upsetting, but with the economy and prices, I would understand. But don't get it wrong. $699 for a MacBook that has 512 gigs of storage and the A18 Pro chip and everything about the Neo with Touch ID is still a great value in my opinion. Now, one thing I've been wondering is why didn't they just use the A19 Pro chip? Because that chip is still in production, and I guess the most logical answer is they want to give some separation from the more expensive iPhone, because it would be a bit weird having a half the price computer using the same processor. Of course, it'd be binned. And another thing is there probably is not as many binned CPUs available. But then again, if the A17 Pro chip is still in production, then there's going to continue to be more binned chips. So, and honestly, that is kind of what I wanted them to do in the beginning, but the A18 Pro has proven to be really good. It's just they're running out of stock. Now, one thing I hope and I genuinely don't think Apple will do is just let the MacBook Neo run out of stock. This is one of Apple's most successful product launches. They're not going to just let it run out of stock. Even if they have to take a loss, they're not going to just let it run out of stock. I would never see Apple do that in a million days. So I think the most likely option is just getting rid of the base model, sadly. And I actually commented on a video talking about this, and someone said, well, they're going to be using the A19 Pro for next year's model. But here's the deal. If they used the A19 Pro for the 2026 model, next year, just use the A20 Pro from the iPhone 18 Pro, which at that point it would have had around 6-ish months of bin chips to pile up, just like you would have around 6-ish months of binned A19 Pros to pile up. I mean, I don't know all the logistics and I don't know all the numbers, so maybe that just would not work. But I mean, apparently the A18 Pro isn't working because they're already running out of that. So it's like, I don't know, honestly. Like, you know, I, I mean, yeah, but this is really not good. I mean, this is a good problem to have because it's a good problem to have when you're selling a lot of products. It's a good problem to have for Apple, and I personally think it's a good problem to have for the Mac because more users equals better. So well, that's not necessarily true because you could create a monopoly. Anyways, I think if it does get to the point, because it sounds like they haven't run out yet, it's just they're now forecasted to run out soon. I think if it gets to that point, the most probable option it would be to, if they can, restart production of the A18 Pro chip and just discontinue the base model. They would probably have to deactivate the 6 GPU core, which would be really annoying since it wouldn't be defective. But imagine getting a Neo to find out if you had waited, you could have got one more GPU core. That's not like Apple, so they would deactivate it, unfortunately. But yeah, that is the breaking Apple news of this week, and not something I saw coming. But I guess that's what you get for not using the latest gen. I still think they should have used the A19 Pro, but you know, Apple's Apple. Apple's Apple. You know what they mean? You know what they mean? What? I don't know what I'm saying. All right. Let's dive into the Nintendo news, which is going to occupy the rest of this week's episode, starting out with Rhythm Haven Groove. So this game is a bit of a weird game. I have not heard of. I know I heard of it in the direct. Definitely not going to be something I'm picking up because I would definitely be so bored with this game. But it is, I can kind of see why some people would, like it or whatever. But Nintendo has officially announced the release date for this game, and it is going to be coming on July 2nd. So, the main annoyance for me is just simply how they did this, because I am not a fan of how they did this, and that of course is through Nintendo Today, because it's Nintendo. They're addicted to Nintendo Today. All right, so if we look here, this is how I'm showing you it through iPhone mirroring. So sorry, you have to see my desktop. It's a beautiful desktop. Just kidding. All right, if we scroll down here, you can see Rhythm Heaven Groove release date. And even if you go to Nintendo's website, you cannot find this. So as you can see, coming to Nintendo Switch July 2nd. And that's basically it. That is literally it. I just want the Direct. I wanted to. Why, Nintendo? See, this is what they're going to do for Star Fox. I am literally going to wake up on a random Tuesday next week, and there's going to be a notification from Nintendo today saying, this is the new Star Fox game. That is literally what is going to happen. This is worthy of Nintendo today because it's really boring, but if they do, Star Fox deserves better than the Nintendo Today treatment. And even if you go to Nintendo's website, you cannot find this news that Nintendo announced this at all. At least when I checked for getting articles for this, which was a few minutes ago. So, what in the world, Nintendo? Anyways, if you want my opinion on this, okay, I won't be picking it up, but if this is one of those games that they announced, told us nothing about, and now they haven't told us anything more about, just announced a release date. Again, Nintendo's really bad marketing strategy. Moving on, I'm trying to skim through these news topics. I forgot to say, skip to the timestamp in the description to get my review in the beginning, but hopefully you've made it this far. So next up, My Mario has made some new drops. Alright, so there is a new Hello Mario board book. This interactive board book by Nintendo who cares who it's published by? Features pages. Okay, no one cares about that. But what we do care about is the Hello Yoshi app. Yay! And there's a new short episode. So, what we're going to do again is we're going to bring back up my phone with iPhone screen mirroring, and we're going to play this game. Because it looks really fun. Oh, dang it. Sorry, I'm trying to navigate this. I don't. Alright, hang on a second here. Can you hear the music already? Hopefully I don't get copyright strike for this. I don't know why. Alright. So here's the app. I downloaded it like 5 seconds. I don't care. Yay! So this is made for 1-year-olds. But, I found the apps to be cool. They're free. But I found them to be really cool. And it's nice seeing Nintendo expand this. So let's just see what this app is about. Yes, Yoshi. Y'all, Yoshi has really become one of my favorite characters. Okay, that's cool. So you can squeeze his tongue out here. You can it's just like playing with Mario's face in the Hello Mario game. And then let's see, if you spin him. Yep, there's bubbles. Okay, this is actually kind of easier to play with a mouse, actually. Nintendo, why isn't this game on PC, Why isn't it on PC? Okay, never mind, I say that. I played it. It's fun. It's very boring, but this is made for 3-year-olds. But I'm actually a really big fan of these games just because I love seeing kids into Mario. Well, not necessarily I love seeing them. I just don't want Mario to die out. And honestly, I would have loved it so much if this was around and my parents bought this for me when I was a 2-year-old. And that way, when I got older, I would be ready to play Mario. You know what I mean? I probably wouldn't have gone through the stages of, Xbox fan and PlayStation fan. I hate Xbox now. I still like PlayStation, but Nintendo is just my favorite. And this would be really cool. And it's nice seeing Nintendo expand this with more products. Oh, wow. Look at this. What is this? Oh, cool. Oh, now he's big. So we have this. It's literally just the My Mario app just with Yoshi slapped in it, but it's still really cool. And Oh my word. Yoshi has quickly become one of my favorite characters after the movie. Like, he's just so amazing. Like, I don't know. I haven't really sat down and thought about what my favorite Mario character is. Comment down below what your character is. So yeah, overall this app looks really fun. I mean, it's not really anything different from the My Mario app, but it's Yoshi. And that's what is really amazing because we love Yoshi. Like, he's the best. I don't know, maybe Yoshi is my favorite character now. Like, okay, shrink yourself, Yoshi. There you go. Alright, what's this do? Singing. He's probably singing. Aw, that is really good. Anyways, yeah. So, nothing big, and, most of us won't use this, but, Alright, moving on. I've spent way too much time. We're already 20 minutes in. Nintendo has announced a new Switch 2 bundle with Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2. This is a really interesting bundle because you can get the physical or digital. And I'm pretty sure the way this works is when you buy a Switch 2 and also have the game in your cart, it just applies like a discount. You save $20. It's the same price as the Mario Kart World Bundle, and that means you essentially save $20. Really nice. I wish we would see Nintendo give the game for free like they used to do, but not in this economy, sadly. It'll be available April 12th through May 9th, so very limited edition. And this is nice. But it also shows the state that Nintendo is in, that they're bundling 15-plus-year-old games with a brand new console, which I think is just absolutely crazy. So yeah. Alright, you all, it is now the main course. Today, we are talking about, I'm giving my spoiler review of the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Now, warning, there is spoilers, aka why it's called a spoiler review. So if you do not want spoilers, you know what that means. Don't watch this part unless you don't care. But if you don't want spoilers, don't watch this part. Alright, so real quick, I just wanted to look at some of the box office. This movie is crushing it in the box office. This is slightly outdated, I believe. So in the US, it's made I think around estimated 5-day of 190 million in the US. But according to this article from NBC, I couldn't find really a good movie article. But worldwide, from what I think they estimated, is 372 million, which is the number one movie worldwide in an estimated that price. And I have heard that it actually surpassed 400 million. I am not 100% sure about that, but we will have to see. So that's really great. I loved the movie. But speaking of I love the movie, let's get into my spoiler review. I was going to make a whole video about this, but I figured it would just kind of be better to do it in the podcast. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so starting out, I just want to say, like I said in my non-spoiler review, I really enjoyed this movie. In fact, I kind of enjoyed it slightly more than the first one. I just want to get that out of the way, and why my voice is so tired again. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, and I'd probably give it a 8 out of 10 now that I've had more time to think about it. So let's start out with the story of this movie. So it starts out with Rosalina on the Comet Observatory, I believe that's what it's called. She's telling bedtime stories to the Lumas, and then Bowser Jr. sweeps in that big mech robot from the Galaxy games and kidnaps Rosalina because he needs her to power the Bombs Day Blast weapon on planet Bowser. And the Luma comes and finds Princess Peach and asks Princess Peach to save Rosalina. So Peach, without Mario's permission, which is a crime, goes out to find Rosalina and leaves Mario and the bros to the castle. Well, that did not go 100% well because Bowser Jr., with the saucer, pulled up Peach's castle to try to get his dad because he wanted to free his dad. So they didn't succeed at first, but then eventually Bowser Jr. got his dad, and Mario and Luigi went looking for Peach. And Peach figured out that Rosalina is her sister and big sister, and they are made out of stardust, which we'll get into that in a minute. And then Star Fox shows up, gives them a ride because they're chasing. All of them are chasing Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr. turns Mario and Luigi into babies, and the movie ends off with Mario trying to defeating Bowser Jr. and Bowser, and Peach saving her sister. All right. So, my take on the story of this movie is quite controversial because the story was like a big critic point, but I actually really, really loved the story. In fact, I would say that the story in this movie is better than the first one. Like, there's just so much more, and when I was watching this movie, the story was just so good in my opinion. And I don't get it because I have watched several reviews and people keep saying the movie doesn't have. What do you mean? How does it not have a story? What did I just read off to you? What summary of a story did I just give to you? How is that not a story? Is it the most complex and deep subplotted and big story ever in a blockbuster movie? No, but that's a story. In fact, I think it has more of a story than the first one. The main part about that is just the fast-pacedness. I really love the story, but I will say there's multiple moments in the story where I'm like, where did this come from? Like, when I first found... Okay, so in the moment where they revealed that Peach and Rosalina were sisters, which, by the way, did we know that before? Maybe we did know that before and I didn't know, but that was one of those genuine shocker moments in the movie for me. When they did that, it was like, whoa, but then they kind of did like a 2-minute backstory talking about how they lived on this one tiny little planet in the galaxy and they're made out of stardust, and that's it. And that was one of those times where I'm like, what did I just watch? What does that mean? Hey, can you give me some more information about that? There were so many moments like that with this story because of how fast-paced the movie's going to be, and I also think they did that because in order to make the story work, they had to implement some things that don't really make sense just like that, and that is my main complaint of the movie. The story goes by way too quick, and it needs a lot more details. I thought the story was really good, though. This movie focuses a lot more on Peach and Rosalina being sisters, and at the end of the movie was another one of those moments where it's like, seriously? Because Rosalina was in this big contraption to power up the weapon that Bowser Jr. had made, and she was literally being sucked up into it. And I was genuinely like, how in the world is Peach gonna save her? And then she just reaches her hand out, and then it magically saves everything. Again, with no exclamation, nothing complex about it, and I liked the ending, the part with Dry Bones Bowser and the epic fight scene with the flying Mario power up, which I thought was really cool. That was really cool. But then the part where she does that was like very mid in my opinion. Like it was like seriously, you gotta be kidding me. That's the problem. There was just so many moments like that. When Star Fox showed up, that was a moment like that. And we'll get into that in a minute. But so overall, I really liked the story. It's just it needed a lot more details. It was very vague. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. The story was just too vague. It was a good story, it's just it was too vague and it needed more time to roll out. If this movie was 2 to maybe 2.5 hours long, I guarantee you the story would have been so much better. But unfortunately, it wasn't. But a lot of people, even people I know, didn't really like the story. I really liked it. I know that is going to be the most controversial opinion because, like, Nintendo. I was watching Nintendo Land video and he's like, "Oh yeah, there's pretty much no story." And I'm not judging him on his opinion. Y'all can have your own opinion, and I can see why some people are going to think that. But then again, I'm sorry, but you cannot say there's no story. The summary that I just read off a few minutes ago. That is a story. What else is that? Tell me, please. What else would that be besides a story? It's not the most complex and deep and cinematic busting story ever, of course. It's a Mario movie. It's a game adaptation movie, but it was not that bad. So, overall, I really liked the story. It just needed more detail. It was too vague. Now, let's talk about the characters because the story and the characters are like the two biggest parts of the movie to me. All right. First of all, let's talk about Yoshi, I guess. So he is new in this movie, and I'm going to be honest, I loved Yoshi in this movie. He was so good in this movie. Even though his backstory was 2 minutes, as is with all the characters in this movie, it was so funny and cool watching him walk down the street and everything and how he got there. It was so cute and funny. Daniel Glover, I believe is his name, or not Dan. No, it wasn't. Is that his name? I have no idea if that is his name. I believe it's his name. Anyways, whatever his name is, he did such a good job of voicing Yoshi in this movie. One of my favorite parts with Yoshi was the part where they're on the one galaxy with the dinosaur when Mario and Luigi are babies, and he's like running around with them, jumping over things because they both get shrunk in the end. That part was actually really gross because Mario climbed through the dinosaur's nose. Seriously, I was like, oh my goodness. It was funny, but it was really gross. Overall, he was my favorite in this movie by far. He was my favorite. He did such a good job. So yeah. Bowser Jr. was also really amazing in this movie. I love the whole bedtime story with Planet Bowser and everything, which is what inspired him to draw closer to his dad. Even though it had some evil methods behind it, it was a really heartwarming story. Seeing Bowser Jr. wanting to be better with his dad and everything, and then having this epic story with him, even if it was evil. And Bowser was also really good. Bowser was also kind of controversial just because in the beginning he was like really nice and he was trying to kind of convince Mario to let him out of his cage, and eventually he did, and after that It wasn't on purpose, but after that, he was still continued to be really nice. And even when he was captured by Bowser Jr., when Bowser Jr. was unlaying his evil plan, Bowser was hesitant. Of course, he obviously turned at the end of the movie, and they had the epic Dry Bone Bowser boss fight and everything like that. But I actually kind of liked it just because I thought it was a really nice contrast to big evil Bowser in the first movie. If it was the whole movie, I think it would have been a complaint, but I think the way they played it out was just a really nice contrast between good and evil Bowser. And it was really nice having an enemy that was not Bowser. I mean, it was Bowser Jr., but it was radically different from the first movie. And while the whole Bowser Jr. bedtime thing was a bit funny and silly, I think it was pretty interesting. Rosalina, also very controversial. She was pretty good. I wouldn't say she was a highlight for me. The biggest complaint I've seen by people is that she didn't have enough screen time, which is warranted, but she does play a big part in the story because she literally gets kidnapped and has been used by Bowser Jr. for this big machine. So it had to happen. And yeah, she didn't get a lot of screen time, but it was fine for me. For me, because I'm not like the biggest Rosalina fan, for me, it was fine. Nothing to write home about, but it was good, especially in the first part of the movie and at the end of the movie, even though it was kind of pointless because of the weird story. Anyways, wow, people didn't like it. I think it was good. Peach was also really good. I think the coolest part about that was just figuring out Peach discovering that they were sisters. There's a whole lot to that I think doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you have to leave Peach behind? Why didn't you go with Peach to protect Peach in the other kingdom? Like, why? No explanation. See, the story, it was just so vague right there. Like, we needed more details right there. But that honestly was, my only, like we talked about earlier. But overall, they were really good. So, the characters were almost really good. But let's talk about good old Fox McCloud. You've probably been waiting me. Okay, this is going to be so controversial, but I did not like him in this movie. Hear me out. Everyone that I have literally seen, besides, I think one person, has been raving over Fox McCloud in this movie. But I'm gonna be honest, I did not like him in this movie just because it was so vague, so empty. He just shows up at the spaceport because they need a ride, gives him a ride, and then he's gone. That's all he does in the movie. I mean, I guess it was cool in those parts, but I expected to, I guess, feel something in that scene when really it was just like, okay, they're flying, okay. Like, it was nowhere near as cool and nowhere near as hype as I was expecting it, because I had been hyped up before I had seen the movie, and I was extremely let down with Fox McCloud when I actually saw the movie. He feels like he was just thrown in at the last minute to be there, and we've actually seen some behind the scenes interview basically confirming that. Apparently, Illumination was the one who originally recommended putting him in, and apparently Miyamoto was thinking about it and saying, well, the movie is space, so and see, that's what I thought. It's galaxy, it's about space, so why wouldn't he fit in? But I think if they had put him in from the beginning, he would have been a lot better. But since it was one of those things that, from our knowledge, it seems like it was just kind of thrown in at the last minute because people wanted to see him, it wasn't good. And therefore, I didn't like him. And I guess it's like his performance wasn't that really good. I guess that's just not what I was expecting him to be like. I don't know. I just didn't really like him, which I know, ultra controversial, but that's just my opinion. We all can have different opinions, but that's just my opinion about Star Fox. So yeah, Now, what about the references in this movie? So, I have just started playing Galaxy 2, video about that tomorrow. So I don't know all the references. Now, one of my friends that gave his impression in my vlog video said the references were spot on. He's played Galaxy 1, so I'm just going to take his word from that. But I do have to say, I feel like the movie did not feel like Galaxy enough. Like, of course, you were zooming through galaxies, and there were several, like the Bee Galaxy and the Honeybee Galaxy and everything. And there's no doubt you cannot say this was not Galaxy themed. I just don't know. It didn't really feel like a Galaxy movie in a couple of points. And that was a bit disappointing now that I've started playing the games. I just feel like I think this actually ties back to the story being so vague. I think if this movie was longer, it would feel just like the story. It would feel more like a actual Galaxy movie. That's not a major complaint for me because I still feel like it felt like a Galaxy movie. I just feel like it needed a bit more of that Galaxy DNA in there. The opening was like so peak though with the Galaxy. The opening was so much better than the first one. I mean, the first one was really great, but I still really like that. But there were a lot of Galaxy references. I saw these, like, there was the Honeybee Galaxy and the Honeybee Queen. Bowser sacrificed himself there. That was actually really interesting. There was these little creatures that kind of looked like pieces of wood that were from Galaxy. I actually saw those in Galaxy 2 and I was like, oh hey, those were in the Galaxy movie. There is power-ups. There's the flying red Mario power-up in the end fight scene of the movie that was really cool. It looked so good in the movie, let me just tell you that. So that was really cool. And overall, there was references from Odyssey. There was when Mario and Luigi were in the one desert area. For the life of me, I can't remember the name of the town. But they were going to find Yoshi. They didn't know it at the time. That was from Odyssey. The dragon from Odyssey was in the end, which was also just so epic. That was literally so epic. So there was a lot of references, which I found really cool. I did find myself in several points being like, I kind of expected more because people said that you could literally pause it at any second and find a reference. So I feel like it had about the same as the first one, maybe even less, because I don't know, maybe it's just because I haven't played all the Galaxy games, but I do feel like there were more references in the first movie, but don't quote me on that, I'm not 100% sure. And I also do need to see the movie again. Keep in mind, I have only had one watch under my belt because it's still in theaters and I have not had any time to go back to the theater and see it yet. I want to, but I don't know if it will happen, but I definitely will be getting it on DVD, so there's that. So that was really cool. Alright, before we give my overall impressions, I do want to just talk about the post-credit scenes. The first post-credit scene was just Star Fox and Toad being like wanting to go with him because Toad loved Star Fox. And then the second one was about Daisy, and I can't remember all of it, but I've been seeing some things going around that Luigi wanted love in it. And I actually said at the end, what if Luigi marries Rosalina? And I was like, but yeah, that's true, Daisy. Okay, so what I think these two mean is that the next Mario movie, we're going to have Daisy in it. And I think the Star Fox post-credit scene, I think that means we're getting a game. I don't think we're getting a movie, at least yet, but I think that's just kind of... I think one reason why they put him in here was also for the game that they're probably just going to drop on Nintendo Today next Tuesday, probably. Ugh. Anyway, they were okay. But they didn't top the first post-credit scene in the first one. The first post-credit scene in the first movie was so iconic with the Yoshi. That was one of those that just really got me hyped. And when I saw Daisy, I was like, okay. Because in my opinion, Yoshi is like so much more fun and exciting than Daisy. Like, who cares? If you care about Daisy, good for you. No offense, I just don't personally care about her. Okay, but overall, I really enjoyed the movie. I think the characters were great, the story was great, but the story did have a lot of downsides. It was very vague, it needed to be longer, and there are some things that felt thrown in. The characters were great, except Star Fox, which felt very vague and thrown in at the last minute. The animation was great, though. The sound, the music in this movie was absolute peak cinema. There was so many remixes. I left the movie theater with the Mario Galaxy theme song stuck in my head and humming it. It was legendary. It was so peak. And overall, I think it's a really great movie. I genuinely like it more than the first one. I'd probably give the movie an 8 out of 10, leaning maybe an 8.5, but I'm most solidly now, after having some time to think about it, giving it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a great movie, and I just wish it would have been longer and less vague, because I honestly think if this movie had more info in the story and it was longer, this could genuinely be one of the most peak movies ever. And I think if that was true, my rating would go up, up, up. So, yeah, but that is my spoiler review. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. That's been my fear because, see, I actually already filmed my spoiler review. But then I was like, oh no, I forgot to talk about this. This is a key aspect. So I've been trying to write down everything. Like, I have a whole note open with my thoughts. So hopefully I didn't forget anything, but feel free to comment down below if you're watching/listening to this podcast on YouTube and ask me a question or give your thoughts or your opinions on it. So, yeah. Wow, this episode's going long. This is the third episode in a row to break the 40-minute barrier. So, oh man. Anyways, you guys, my voice is about to give out. There's no more topics. So, thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this episode and the spoiler review. And I'll see you all in the next one. And hopefully my voice doesn't die.